Good day and welcome to Alena Media TV. We are broadcasting from Toronto, Canada. I am Elsa Abraham, and in this episode we are bringing you African news. Let's go for our headlines. As Jawa Etel continue hunger strike, Oromia region sees multiple protests demanding their release, justice for slain artist Hakalu Hundessa. And in our next story, government approves first step towards Tigray emergency assistance. Let's go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll get our news in detail. Welcome back from that break now. Government approves first step towards Tigray emergency assistance. This clearance is a first step towards ensuring that aid workers in Tigray can deliver and ramp up the response given the rapidly rising needs in the region. Stephanie Dejurek told journalists at the daily press briefing. He recalled a number of positive engagements between the government and senior UN officials, including with Filippo Grandi, High Commissioner for Refugees. The UNHCR, Giles Michard, Chief of the UN Safety and Security, and most recently, David Beasley, Executive Director of the World Food Programme, the WFP. Mr. Beasley has just wrapped up a trip to Ethiopia, and he says that the WFP has accepted the government's request to help authorities and aid partners transport aid into and within Tigray, informed by Mr. Dujarric. Moreover, the WFP has also agreed to provide emergency food aid for up to 1 million people in Tigray. The conflict between the government and the regional forces of the Tigray People's Liberation Front, the TPLF, began in early November when the Prime Minister ordered a military offensive after rebels attacked a federal army base. Government forces reported that the region had been secured at the end of November, but TPLF resistance has continued amid accusations of extrajudicial killings and rights abuses. Meanwhile, around 60 more humanitarian workers from the UN and non-governmental organizations are awaiting approval in the capital, Addis Ababa, for deployment to Tigray. They also look forward to rapid organizations for any further requests put forward. While we welcome these clearances, we remain deeply concerned about the significant escalation in humanitarian needs in Tigray, where people have endured more than 3 months of conflict with extremely limited assistance, said the UN spokesperson. He also expressed unease over continued reports of grave violations against civilians. We reiterate our call for the full resumption of free and unconditional access for humanitarian supplies and personnel to the Tigray region, Mr. Dujarric said, adding that it should include blanket clearances for organizations operating in the area so that we can immediately reach all the people in need with all the assistance they urgently require. And moving on to our next story for today, as Jawa et al. Continue hunger strike, Oromia region also sees multiple protests demanding their release, justice for slain artist Hakalu Hundessa. Protests broke out in different parts of Oromia regional state since February 5th, 2021. Protesters who took to the streets in Ambo last Friday raised several demands, including the release of Oromo politicians, including Jawa Mohammed, Bekele Geba, and Hamza Borana of the opposition Oromo Federalist Congress, the OFC. A resident of the city told Addis Standard many students were arrested and beaten by police, according to eyewitnesses. Addis Standard contacted Ambo City Police, who declined to comment. It comes in the heels of continued hunger strike by defendants in Jawa's file, which started on January 27th. On February 5th, Ethiopian Human Rights Commissioner The EHRC Chief Commissioner Daniel Bekele said that very close supervision is required to prevent any grave threat to their health and life, and that reasonable justified demands of the prisoners must be addressed. He added that during visits to prisoners or attending court hearings, visitors must be treated properly. Jawa and the other defendants with him went to a hunger strike to protest against the arrest of some 80 supporters and family members from federal court premises during a key hearing the previous day. They demanded their release as well as respect for the right of their family members to attend the court hearing without police harassment, mistreatment of their supporters and family members when they come to attend their hearing. In addition, the defendants also demanded the change of prison cell for Colonel Gemechu Ayana, Executive Council Member of Opposition Oromo Liberation Front, the OLF, who remains in federal prisons after he was repeatedly granted bail by a federal court, and despite the discontinuation of the changes against him by Oromia prosecutors. Quoting the Kaliti Prison Administration, the EHRC said that prisoners are regularly moved from one holding area zone to another, and that there are other prisoners in the same area as Colonel Gemechu. During the visit, the commission found one prisoner who had indicated being moved to the zone for breaking prison rules. Kaliti Prison Administration was preparing to move Colonel Gemechu Ayana to another holding area following EHRC's recommendations in this regard when the Federal High Court at a hearing on February 3rd, 2021 ordered for the prisoner to be returned to Kilinto, noting that the prisoner's transfer to Kaliti did not follow due process. The commission has confirmed the transfer by visiting the prisoner on February 4th, 2021, according to the EHRC. Since Friday 5th, protests are being held mostly by high school students in different cities of Oromia, including Ambo and Dawa. Today, the protests spread to cities including Woliso, Yabelo, Gimbi, Kenenti, Dembi Dolo, the Shashamani, and the Asebot, demanding the release of political prisoners and end of political instability in Oromia region. However, the protesters were met with excessive use of force that has resulted in an unconfirmed number of injuries and one confirmed death. A high school student in Asibot told Addis Standard that the protest started in the morning today by high school students and were later on joined by the community. The release of political prisoners was the main demand made by protesters in Asibot before it was dispersed by the police, leading to the arrest of many, according to him. Similarly, another protest that took place in Gimbi by Gimbi Secondary High School students demanded justice for Hakalu Hundesa, a prominent Oromo artist who was assassinated on June 29th last year, and the release of political prisoners. They have also carried banners asking on an end to extrajudicial killings in Oromia. The organizers of the protest, along with some teachers, were arrested. According to a resident of the city who spoke with Hadiza Baba on the phone on conditions of anonymity, the protest in Yabelo, Borana zone has resulted in the killing by security forces of one of the protesting students. Ethiopian Human Rights Coalition identified the student as a university student, Dika Debaso. The protest took place from 6 a.m. in the morning till 2 p.m., said a high school attendant who also attended the protest. He said that about 4 people were also shot and seriously injured. They were referred to the Wolaita Sodo Hospital, he said. There are many students who were beaten at the protest and are still going to local clinics, according to him. These standard attempts to reach authorities at the administration but was unsuccessful. This is where we end today's episode on African News. Make sure you like, share, comment. Let us know your thoughts on this particular episode. Thanks for watching.